Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how you can actually make this realistic looking cat eye study with just using 3 Crayola colored pencils. That's right, I said Crayola. I'll be using the cheapest brand that I own to be showing you how you can make this cat eye study. I hope it helps you, and let's get started. So before you start this eye study, you are going to want to pick out the 3 colors that you will be using for the light tones, mid-tones, and dark tones. For this cat eye study myself, I chose yellow for the light tones, orange for mid-tones, and purple for the dark tones. As you can see, there's also a white color pencil out. That is just to help with any blending that may need to happen. I was really shocked by how well Crayola blended and smoothly they went down on the paper. They reminded me a lot of Prismacolor Premier. So just like any eye study or any drawing that I'm working on, I actually go in with my darkest tone first to map out around the eye or any dark tones that I can see in the reference photo. I'm using purple just like I would with dark sepia and just going in, outlining the eye and pupil and that little reflection that you can see. Just a little note on the reference photo, I highly recommend having it in black and white when you're doing a 3-color study like this one. It helps your mind just focus on the light to dark tones rather than the colors themselves. I learned this from my own personal experience. I used color, and I have to say I wish I used just a black and white photo. I think it would have turned out a lot nicer in the end. The reference photo that I was using is of a black cat eye study. So for the fur in this one, it didn't turn out quite as well as I hoped in the end, but it did turn out pretty good. This eye study, you don't have to just stick to those 3 colors and say to yourself, oh, the yellow has to stay in the light tones and the orange has to be the mid tones and the purple the dark tones. You can, as you can see, blend all 3 of them together to get a darker looking color. The reason I used these 3 colors is I noticed that I could get a closer dark tone that kind of looks black in the end. You do see the purple a little bit, but that is okay. Another thing I'm pointing out here is the difference of layering styles that I used when it came to the pupil of the eye. So the left eye that is already finished, I did the thing that I always do, which is light to dark. And then on the right side, I actually went down with purple first in the pupil, and then I layered on top the orange and using yellow to kind of just blend all the colors together to make it look smooth. Both techniques in the end work for this cat eye study. It's definitely down to you yourself on how you do it, how it works for you in the end. Now I'm starting in the fur. So this is where it kind of, I wish it was just a black and white photo. I wish I did a few things differently, but I made it work. I made it my style, and I honestly can't wait to see what you guys yourselves come up with if you decide to give this eye study or even this 3-color challenge a go yourself. So I went in with purple in a few areas just so that I could map in those dark tones. And then I layered on top yellow as the light tone and then orange for mid-tone. At this point, I am using a very, very, very light pressure. I'm actually holding the pencil itself further back so that way I don't go in with a hard pressure. This just helps my mind to clue in that I don't need to use a hard pressure. Another thing that I would like to point out here with Crayola is how sharp you can actually get these pencils. As you can see, I'm showing it to you here. And honestly, they held their sharpness for quite a while as long as I continue to use a light pressure and rotate the pencil while I'm drawing. So using the side of the pencil right now, I'm actually kind of going in and just putting like a wash down of that color. I'm just going all out and I'm just filling in the tooth of the paper with this color. Again, as you can see, the sharpness stayed as long as I rotated the pencil, and I was pretty happy with it. Using that flick motion, I'm now going in with my mid-tone just to darken up some areas and actually add in a little bit of fur detail in at this point. With this mid-tone, I actually use that flick motion, as I said, in starting it in the dark areas and flicking it outwards into the light areas. And then the dark areas on the little nose, I'm using kind of more of a circular motion. I'm not focusing on any fur direction at this time because I know I'm going to have to go in later with that purple again to darken up a few spots. It's looking a little washed out, I guess you could call it, at this time just because of the light pressure that I am using. I personally like using a light pressure to begin with. That way, if I do make a mistake, it's easier to go in with a good old eraser and try to make it disappear. Now I'm going back into those areas that I just put orange down with a harder pressure of yellow. That just, I don't know, made it pop a little bit more in my personal opinion. Going in with the dark tone of purple, I am using probably a medium pressure at this time, just to get in some darker tone values, but then using a flick motion, I'm adding in fur details. So everything actually stays the same. It doesn't really matter how many color pencils you are using. Even with 3 color pencils, the principle of how you would layer and use that flick motion to get those fine lines all stay the same, and obviously going light to dark is the key point at this time. So with just using 3 colors, it can be scary at first, but as you can see, you still get somewhat of a realistic outcome in the end, and I think you can make some pretty neat things with just using 3 colors, and it can help reset your mind on how to look at making your artwork. So if you're sitting at home right now and you only have, let's say, a blue, a magenta, and a green, perhaps, you can achieve somewhat of a realistic drawing in the end as long as you have the light, medium, and dark tones figured out. I also wanted to try with these colors using the X-Acto knife to see if it worked, and yeah, it did. I was still able to lift up some of the colors and add a little bit more detail in the fur and in the eye itself. So my experience with using Crayola, I would say, is I'd say a 9 out of 10. I won't give it a 10 out of 10 because there's always room for improvement when working on anything in life. So I hope you guys give this a go, and please Tag me on Instagram if you do try to create something with just 3 colors. And don't forget to subscribe and check me out on my other channels. And have a good night. Bye.